Good morning. My name is Bill Walsh, and as Charles mentioned, I'm the Executive Director of the Healthy Building Network, and our organization focuses on the connection between chemicals that are in our building materials and the opportunities we have to reduce chemical exposures in buildings through the careful selection of our building materials. We have created a clearinghouse of information about building products and chemicals and the health impacts of the chemicals in those products in a database called the Pharos Project. You see the screenshot here. And this database has three elements. First, there's a chemical database that allows you to put in the name or the identification number of a chemical and identify the known health hazards by searching any of the 40,000 chemicals in the database against 40 authoritative hazard lists. So by looking at an ingredient in a building product, you can get a sense of the type of hazards to which construction workers or building occupants might be exposed. There's also a building products library in which we have researched categories of building products and evaluate them against different environmental and health metrics, including VOCs and other chemical exposures in the built environment, and give an evaluation scorecard of those materials that helps people to make informed choices. And there's also a certifications and scoring database that allows you to look up the certification of a given building product and understand what the basis for that certification is. And since most products do now carry some sort of certification, this allows you to make an informed choice even among certified products to get those that are healthiest for your building. The reason that we do this is that there are clear correlations between the chemicals in our building products and a lot of different health impacts. And since people do spend 90% of their waking time, or even sleeping time, in buildings, these are potentially very large sources of exposures, and for vulnerable populations, like children or people who are already sick in some way, the impact can be even greater. I have here just a summary of indicators of health impacts that are associated with endocrine disrupting chemicals taken from a study published this year by the World Health Organization called The State of the Science of Endocrine Disrupting Chemicals. And this is emerging science that's been collected to demonstrate the link through statistical analysis of different types of illnesses and diseases with exposure to a variety of chemicals that are known to mimic hormones in the body and to disrupt our endocrine system. And so as you can see, there's a strong scientific basis for being concerned about these exposures. And if anybody's interested in the exact sources of the data, I'm happy to provide that. My real message, though, is that we also have an increasing body of evidence that through the careful selection of our building materials and through the improvement of our manufacturing techniques and the more careful use of chemicals in the manufacturing of building products, we can really see very large positive societal impacts, not only on the built environment and people who are exposed to the building product in use, but also throughout its life cycle in terms of the communities where it's manufactured and the communities to which this material goes after its useful life when it's disposed of or recycled. This example on arsenic takes some data that were compiled after the EPA lifted its exemption on the use of arsenic wood treatment compounds, known as CCA or pressure-treated wood. That happened in 2003. And what you can see here is that the importation of arsenic, virtually all the arsenic that we use, is imported from other countries, mostly China and Chile. The imports of arsenic declined dramatically. I apologize for some of the noise in the slide that didn't survive the translation from one PowerPoint version to another. But you can see a pretty dramatic decrease that happens. It goes from over 20,000 metric tons imported annually down to just a little over 6,000 tons imported annually. And this represents arsenic that was being put into pressure-treated wood, the largest source of human exposure, especially for children playing on playgrounds or decks that were built with arsenic-treated wood. And because this use was exempted from normal hazardous waste regulations, arsenic pressure-treated wood can be disposed of in unlined rubble and debris landfills, posing a potential threat to groundwater, especially in states where the groundwater table is high and the soil is sandy. Some of the most compelling data came from the state of Florida. So you can see that with this one building product and the re-engineering of this product, we're able to really address a whole host of environmental health impacts all along its life cycle, including in the built environment itself. Another example involves formaldehyde. And this chart, the purple line shows the U.S. production of particle board, which is made with formaldehyde products to bind the wood fibers together. And the blue line shows formaldehyde air emissions from those manufacturing plants. And what you see here, critically, starting in around 2005 and 2006, is a foreshadowing of the industry recognizing that there was a transition happening, spurred in part by credits within LEED that rewarded the use of low formaldehyde materials, and also by action taken by the California Air Resources Board to create regulations that limit the amount of added formaldehyde in particle board. Those regulations were adopted in 2007, and these data are adjusted and scaled to 2005 production level. So this is not, we're taking into account the housing collapse in 2008, and you still see a very steep decline in formaldehyde air emissions from the production of these production facilities of these projects. That's far steeper than the decline in production during the housing crisis. So this is another example of where, by addressing a chemical in a building product, we're not only improving the quality of the indoor environment for building occupants, but we're having a societal impact by improving the working conditions of the people who manufacture these products and the surrounding communities in which those factories are located. The final point I wanted to talk about in terms of how we achieve these advances in health protection through the careful selection of building materials is a project that was just unveiled last November, which is called the Health Product Declaration. And the Health Product Declaration is an open standard format for communicating the contents of building products and the associated health hazards. It's the first step toward that uniform type of label that we see on all our food products that gives you a basic summary of vital information about the food product. Building products are much more complicated, and we don't need to be limited by the space on a paper label. We can actually do this digitally and are beginning to do it with the Health Product Declaration. What the Health Product Declaration does, if you think about it, is take the type of information that we find on a material safety data sheet and standardize its reporting format and make it more comprehensive and complete. So these Health Product Declarations, we believe, are going to really become the standard label by which people are able to look at the contents of building products and compare products one to another when they're evaluating the chemical inputs into those products and the related health concerns. You can find this. These declarations on both the Health Product Declaration website, which is hpdcollaborative.org, and we also have them on our FAROS website, which is farosproject.net. A number of firms, including Canon Design, have begun to request that vendors who want to have their products specified by those firms, I think you're going to have a speaker from Google later in the day too, Google does this also, are requesting that the manufacturers begin to use the Health Product Declaration so that they can, as they make their specification decisions, be better informed and have the standard information format that helps them to do a more effective evaluation and make a more informed choice. So that's my piece of this puzzle in the whole health of the building and the whole health of building occupants and communities is really to look at the materials that we use and are exposed to on a daily basis, and to realize that through the careful evaluation, selection, and manufacturing of those materials, we have a huge range of options and hope to offer people, not only in the built environment, those people who might be suffering from environmental health impacts, but also in the workplace and in those communities from which all of our materials come. Thank you very much.